Hi folks, Joe from DIY Wood Guy. Today we're going to be talking about dust collection systems. So why do you want to have a dust collection system? Well, for one, it makes a lot less of a mess because you can capture it at its source, and two, it's a lot better for your health because it keeps all the bad stuff out of the air and you don't have to breathe it. Our goal is efficiency. You want to keep the wood chips moving toward your collector through your ducting system so it keeps your workshop clean and you safe. Today I'm going to show you how to use cheap thin wall drain waste vent or DWV pipe, and a unique system with a propane torch to put it together. That's right, no glue is required, and that means you can use your joints again if you ever want to cut the system apart, and that flexibility is huge. We're going to start today with a walk around the shop. I'd like to show you a little SketchUp drawing that I've made of our location, and I've got all of our ducting designed as well as the collector and then a cyclone in place. This will help to orient during the video. We're going to start with a little bit of discussion of the collector. As you can see here, I'm using a DC 1100 canister collector from Jet. I've put the collector up on a raised shelf at about 36 inches, and this gave me some much improved storage for the location. By increasing its height, it also gives me a much easier ability to empty the bag. I don't have to crawl under the collector anymore to get this ring out, and it's simple to put back in because it's at chest height. Here you can see I replaced the stock twin 4-inch adapter, which would have allowed us to run two 4-inch lines. And I've replaced it with a 6:5 reducer, and I ran 5-inch line out to my Cyclone. Now I used 5-inch line for a couple reasons. First of all, the 5-inch line that runs from the canister collector down to the motor is really smaller than that 6-inch adapter that runs on the outside, so it didn't make sense to run from a 6-inch to a 5-inch into the collector. One of the problems I ran into was that 6-inch line was only available in 5-foot segments, which was not long enough to get to my collector. The 5-inch line, however, was available in 10-foot segments. Here you can see the 5-inch flex line running out of the wall to a 6.5 reducer. And here we have our first view of our Cyclone separator. Now the whole reason behind this device is that 99% of the sawdust gets separated out from the collector and it ends up right here in this garbage can that I've adapted for this use. As you can see, I've added in some red urethane casters which make this very easy to roll around. All you have to do is simply drill a hole through the garbage can and attach bolts and nuts to the casters. Next, panning up, we're going to evaluate the modifications I made to the garbage can lid. As you can see here, I used a 5-inch starter flange available from the HVAC department at Home Depot. I sandwiched this between two plywood discs and finished it off with a 5-inch wire clamp. Based on my dust collection needs, I set the height of my collector about 11 inches above my garbage can, and I used a second 5-inch starter flange at the base of the Cyclone. I next made a simple plywood mounting bracket to hold my Cyclone assembly, and I attached it to the wall using Craig's screws. This was mounted about 42 inches above the ground. Okay, now that you've seen our Cyclone assembly, let's start talking about ducting and how we get this all connected together. The dust collection ducting comes into the Cyclone via a 5-inch T, which reduces to 4 inches for my main dust collection lines. This line goes to the top of the shop to service the table saw and sanders. Coming out of the base of the 5-inch T comes additional 4-inch lines which run out to the other equipment in my shop. Whenever possible, use Ys instead of Ts since they are much more efficient. Okay, let's spend a minute to talk a little bit about ducting. So this is standard thin wall drain waste vent that you'll find at Home Depot. Now what you'll notice is that this is pretty thin on the walls and it's got a black interior and a white exterior. Now when you go down to the home center, make sure you take along one of these, one of the joints that you plan to use with the system. What you're looking for is a fit that's actually a little bit too tight, and that's good because what you want to do is you want to expand the ducting itself with a propane torch and simply push it onto the fitting. Once it cools, it's going to contract in around this black fitting and it'll make a nice airtight fit. So what's the benefits of this thin wall drain waste vent pipe? Well, number one, it's much less expensive than what you'd expect to spend for PVC. It's also a lot lighter, which means hanging this stuff is going to be a lot easier on you. It's easier to cut and it requires no PVC glue. You'll want to use a propane torch or perhaps an electric heat gun to heat the end of the pipe. Start off by heating the pipe so that it becomes soft and supple. You'll want to be careful here because it's easy to burn through. Leave the oxy-acetylene torches with carburizing flames to the professionals. Once you're finished, simply push the components together and allow it to cool. Okay, so why do I prefer metal gates over plastic ones? Well, metal gates tend to be a little bit more robust, and these things are going to be open and closed all the time. And I just find that they hold up a little bit better. Also, the technique I show you today works great for those metal ducts as well. You can simply heat the PVC pipe and press into place. Operating a dust collection system with ducting is easy to do. Simply turn on the collector, open the gate to the tool you want to use, and when you're finished, reverse the process. Okay, we're next going to talk a little bit about our table saw. So you can see the back of the table saw here, and for a more complete discussion of what I've done with the bench, definitely check out my prior video. So with the table saw, we come down with a vertical drop that's just like so. And what this gives us is the ability to keep all of the hoses off the floor. If you've got a 4-inch hose running across the floor, it's a terrible trip hazard that you don't want to have to deal with. Here you can see that my dust collection comes right into the back of the saw, and a real important component is saw clean out. If I ever have to get into the back of the saw, all I've got to do is remove this quick clamp, and then if I drop an arbor nut or anything else down in there, it's real easy to get out. One of the things I like most about my table saw dust collection is the ability to quickly disconnect it from the ceiling and connect it to a standard 2.5-inch floor vacuum. This attachment makes short work of a big mess, and the great thing about it is that it reaches every square inch of the shop. Also, when I'm done, I can vacuum off the table saw. And, as if it wasn't enough, you can also pull additional equipment into this location and get great dust collection off of it. Okay, so let's summarize a little bit of what we talked about today. We talked a little bit about dust collection systems and using a dust collector to really improve the dust collection in your shop, really make the environment a lot safer and cleaner. We also talked about how the system works, and that's by turning on the collector, opening a gate, and then using the tool. Once you're done, you close the gate and you open another gate for a different tool. We also talked about inline Cyclone separators and the fact that these separators can pull out 99% of the dust from what you would otherwise have go to your collector. That makes the process a lot easier to clean and empty all of the dust because it ends up in a place that's easy to handle. We also talked about thin wall drain waste vent and the fact that thin wall DWV, not PVC pipe, is a lot less expensive, easier to use, and actually will heat shrink onto your fittings, allowing you to reuse them in the future if you need to. So at this point you might be asking, why can't I just run flex line throughout my shop? It's a lot easier to deal with. I don't have to worry about elbows and I can just bend it around corners. Well, while that might be true, you'll actually be introducing a lot of inefficiencies to the system. You see, the corrugated inside of a flex line pipe is a lot less efficient than the smooth wall of a DWV pipe like we showed today. What that does is it adds eddies and air currents and things that slow down the air as it's moving to the collector. Now, we've talked a fair amount today about efficiency, so why does it really all matter? Well, we want to maximize the cubic feet per minute of airflow going from the collector to the tool. So as it's drawing from the tool, you're able to pull a lot of air and keep that sawdust particle airborne and moving through the system all the way to the collector. If you add in lots of extra components or you don't go the straightest path to the tool, you introduce a lot of inefficiencies. Remember that each component adds resistance, and we want to reduce resistance when it comes to dust collection. So what are my favorite parts of my system? Well, it's got to be 3 main areas. The first is the floor sweep. The floor sweep makes it easy to clean up big chip messes quickly. All I have to do is clean it up with a push broom. I can push it right in, and it works a lot better for big chips than it does for, say, small components that I can vacuum up with a handheld vacuum. That vacuum attachment is actually my second favorite component. I can use it on the bandsaw, the table saw, and I can also connect it to my handheld floor sweep in order to move it around and vacuum the entire floor. In fact, by using the dust collection drop for my table saw, I can reach every square inch of my shop with that one cleanup tool. The third component that I absolutely love is my manual switch on the wall. Now, I actually had an electrician wire that switch in with the intention of being able to turn the collector on and off. The big benefit there, I don't have to go looking for a remote control to turn the system on and off, and it's always in the same spot. Very quick and efficient to walk over, turn it on, when I'm done, turn it off. Hey folks, thanks for taking time to watch today, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe.